It's less about deciding where you want to go and then building the team, and much more so about building the team and then deciding where you want to go. Something that I never have heard before, something that really was an eye-opening moment, is that once you've got the right people on the right seats, you can go anywhere. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Dan Brisse. Welcome to another episode of Keeping It Real Estate. I wanted to bring you guys some thoughts about a book I'm reading called Good to Great by Jim Collins. This book is for entrepreneurs, business owners that are building companies and are looking to move the needle and transform from a good or mediocre company to a great company. So a little background on the book: Jim Collins studied for 20 years many businesses and measured their growth and success and profit rates compared to average companies. And there were some very similar factors, similar patterns that were noticed in these companies that went from good to great. And, I just want to share some of those with you because they're super powerful for me, and I think you'll find a lot of value. So let's just dive right in. So the first thing they talk about is level 5 leadership. In every good to great company, not some, every, had a leader who was somebody who would put the positivity and the wins on the team. And when they would fail and have losses, it would always be on them. So, a lot of leaders will point the problem to the team. The team was doing this, they wouldn't do that, we wouldn't be in this situation. And every good to great company had a leader who, when they won, they put it back on their team. And they said they would never be there. They never would have been able to create this. It never would have happened if it wasn't for them. And every time there was a big loss, a big challenge, something negative, they always put it on them as the leader. And this created this sense of commitment, this pride, working for this leader, working for this company, being a part of the team, where it made the team put in more effort, more time, and work harder for that leader than the other, which would be, putting them down and blaming them and getting angry at them for not the performance and not the results they're looking for. Another piece that was huge is when they're hiring. When in doubt, don't hire, keep looking. Circuit cities spent 80% of their time in their early years getting the right people on the bus, whereas a competitor, Silo, spent 80% of the time buying the right locations. And then Circuit City's top goal was to build the best management team in the industry, whereas Silo's goal was to grow as fast as possible. Which one's here today? We all know Circuit City dominated and is dominating. So a big part of this book is right butts, right seat. Do you first have the right people in the right seats to create the results you eventually want to go do? One thing that stood out to me in the book, it's less about deciding where you want to go and then building the team, and much more so about building the team and then deciding where you want to go. Something that I never have heard before, something that really was an eye-opening moment, is that once you've got the right people on the right seats, you can go anywhere. And that's a powerful idea to think about. So when you're looking at your team, just ask yourself, do I have the right people in the right seats? And here's 2 questions to know when the person should get off the bus. Number 1, would you hire this person again? And number 2, if the person came to tell you they were leaving to pursue and exiting for new opportunities, would you feel terribly disappointed or secretly relieved? Those are the 2 questions you can ask yourself about your current team members to say, do I have the right people in the right seats? And again, good to great companies took the time to make a rigorous A+ selection right up front. So then if they got it right, they'll do everything they can to keep them on board for a long time. If they made a mistake, they'll confront the facts so they can get on with their work and get that person on with a new direction in their lives. And they also were super detail oriented on saying, okay, if we don't have the right person in the right seat, is there somewhere else we could transfer them that's better than simply letting them go? So super powerful, something to keep in mind. The core leaders of the company must transition personal ambition into ambition for the company. That was another level 5 leadership. It's not about moving the needle for you. It's not about your personal ambitions. It's about thinking of the company as the most important piece to move. And then one of the other crucial elements in taking a company from good to great is somewhat paradoxical. You need executives on the one hand who argue and debate, sometimes violently, in pursuit of the best answers, yet on the other hand, who unify and fully get behind a decision regardless of the difference of interests, which I thought was really interesting. They in EOS, they say fight like you're right, listen like you're wrong. And so when you're passionate about a company, you're going to have strong reasons and inner desires as to why we should go a certain direction. And what they say here is come, show, share the data, give it the best answer. But once a decision is made, you get behind that decision and everyone unites. And I can say that's happened sometimes in our businesses just recently. There are differences of opinions of how Mike thinks we should go or I think we should go. And as we discuss and as we bring in the right different people and gather more data, very slowly or sometimes quickly, clarity happens. And we're like, whoa, that is the right decision. And I can just tell you guys right now, there was a decision that was made not too long ago where I did not think it was the right decision. And the more data showed that the decision that Mike wanted to make was right. And at that point, burn the boats. This is the decision, and we're 100% aligned in moving forward with that decision. Another point that was really interesting was if you want to be a great husband or father, friend, wife, and you're building a company, you need to be great at putting the right butts in the right seat. You cannot do it alone. You will not do it alone. And if you want to have time for you to still have those great relationships with those most important people in your family, it is 100% about being great at building a great team. So in order to, build a massive company and not lose your mind, not lose your family, not lose your relationships, you must put the best people around you. And the right people in the right slots, have to be there all hours of the day. So you don't. And that's part of finding the right people. Business, and when it's young and as in your middle stage, I would say we're in the young stage still. If we don't have the right people in the right slots that are willing to be there and go the extra mile, you're likely not going to be around. And so as we interview, as we pull out core values of who we're interviewing, and as we bring in team members to help us hire, we actually hired a company called Team Architects. Well, they'll go to the market for us. And let's just say we're hiring a COO. They'll come up with a assessment when that person is wanting to be interviewed. And if they score high on the COO assessment, now they'll send it to us and they'll do a pre-interview for us. So we're only interviewing candidates that actually passed their COO assessment and have passed their initial interview, which has helped us save some time. It is a little bit expensive, but from our perspective, it's been worth every penny. So, step one is get the right people on the bus and the wrong people off of the bus. Then figure out where to drive. And the key point is that who question comes before what. So who needs to be on the bus before we figure out where we're going, before organization structures, before tactics, first who, then what, as a rigorous discipline consistently applied. And then I'm going to leave you guys with one thing here, 3 practical disciplines for being rigorous in people decisions. And number 1, when in doubt, don't hire. Keep looking. A company should limit its growth based on their ability to attract enough of the right people. Wow. I hope you guys hear that. I'm going to say it again. A company should limit its growth based on their ability to attract enough of the right people. Now, these are companies they study that are massive. Circuit City, that's a massive company. And number 2, when you need to make a people change, act. And first, be sure you don't simply have somebody in the wrong seat. Can they move to a different part of your company? Can they be transferred before you just let them go? And then number 3, they say, is put your best people on your biggest opportunities, not your biggest problems. So if you sell off your problems, don't sell off your best people. And then obviously you guys got to understand compensation should be set to keep the right people in the right seats. A players are defined by getting paid well. If you're not needing to pay them well, they're not A players. And then remember this, people are not the most important asset. The correct adage is the right people are the most important assets. So the right people on the bus, then we figure out where to go. Slow to hire, be certain of your decision. If you do make a mistake, act. Can you transfer them? If you can't transfer them, let them go. So whether someone is the right person has more to do with character traits and innate capabilities than which specific knowledge, background, or skills they have. And that's the art of building a company and hiring people from the first chapter of Good to Great. Thanks for listening.